far as the Braves, Mike, Matt Olson, these new rules, right? We've got all these new rules for Major League Baseball. And Matt Olson, our first baseman, faced the shift 81% of his plate appearances last season. So you take the shift out, and all of a sudden now you start saying, okay, what is that going to do for a guy like Matt Olson? Does he hit more to the opposite side without the shift on? And more importantly, does that mean he's on base more? Is he more productive? The shift and again, all the shift was, guys, was this guy hits this amount of times to right or left field.
It's analytics.
We're going to put a guy out there. It's simple. And you don't do that, and now all of a sudden it opens up an area of the field that wasn't open last year.
And if nothing else, better for a guy like that because he can maybe be a 270 hitter. Hello.
Yeah.
And getting on base more. I just thought, and it's funny, we talked about it with Dansby when he was in studio with us last year, and it's so true. It's like, from a purely aesthetic standpoint, having Austin Riley jogging over to play short right just looks like crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm happy to see that die like the dodo. And like Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred may be a knucklehead, but maybe they stumbled onto something. I'm watching some of these games in spring training, some of the highlights. The flow, it's moving. If you can increase offense and speed up the game, I know that there's old farts like Bob Costas probably, whatever. It is good for the game. We've got to speed it up. I don't like to reinvent the wheel. I still think the Ghost Runner's the stupidest thing since but the things are working. You got to admit it.
The Braves have reason to believe that Kyle Wright, the only 20-game winner last year, is still going to be ready for opening day. He is required more time to prepare for the season. But apparently, Mike, he's developing and, going through his exercises and all that stuff. He's 27.
He had a side throwing session today, according to Mark Bowman from MLB Network.
Yeah, but he's yet to appear in a spring game. So that's why they're saying they're hoping he's going to be available for opening day or at least, the first week of the season. We're going to see. 21-5, 3.19 ERA last year. Led the majors in wins. It was a breakout season. Can he do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I get it because the strikeout to whatever. Whip. Whatever you're looking for. In the old days, winning 20 games is pretty darn good. But apparently now winning 9 and having to obviously nobody get on base is better. I get it. But I still think this guy's got to be able to pitch. And that's why I was a little nervous about this late start to his spring training routine because of the issues. But, that you would be Max Fried and Kyle Wright, 1-2.
Strider, Morton.
Or do you feel Strider's going to eclipse him this year? Strider's just got to figure out how to pitch. Now, here's the thing. Max Fried made an effort 2 years ago to not pitch to contact.
Yeah.
Strider's a flamethrower. But part of Strider is the pitch count gets so crazy, everybody just fouling everything off. Does Strider tweak anything this year?
I can't wait to see him pitch and what adjustments he's possibly made. And things he's working on down there. He's got a lot of talent.
Right.
That's a given.
I don't like the phrase pitch to contact, but I just think sometimes you want to avoid being through 75 pitches in 3 innings.
I agree. Strider, I think, Mike, by the time we get to where we need to be, Strider, it'll be Fried, Strider, and then potentially Wright. But we need Wright to have another good year. Charlie Morton, obviously, that's your 4. And then Ian Anderson, he gave up, one unearned run over 2 1/3 innings against the Yankees. That was Sunday. And then Bryce Elder threw 3 scoreless against Houston on Friday. So those are the 2 guys that are vying for that 5th rotation spot.
And on the top end, you already mentioned Fried looked great. Fried has looked totally locked in. So whatever the end of the season last year with the stomach issues, that's long, long gone. He looks dominant.
All right. Are you going to watch any of the World Baseball Classic?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. There's a lot of star power in this one. I mean, it's not like you got some guy who's playing for like the Toledo Mud Hens. I mean, you've got imagine you're an Angels fan and Mike Trout is playing in this.
Sweet.
Mike Trout, who you'd rather have in bubble wrap and then not have him do anything until the season starts with all the injuries that he's endured. But there's a lot of guys. Wainwright's going to pitch. He's getting up there in age. But you do have a lot of all-stars in this. Arenado's going to play as well.
Yeah. Otani's playing for Japan.
And we know Acuna's going to play for, so that's – I've mixed blessings on that. I just don't really like the idea of extra wear and tear for Ronald Acuna. Is a difference between a spring training game and actually representing your country and going for it.
No doubt. I mean, it's something that's going to happen. We can't run from it. I know the Braves, all these teams say we want our guys to participate and play. Deep down, I don't know if they want that, especially your mega stars and the guys that you're really counting on. Because God forbid, knock wood, if something happens to Trout, Mike, that's 120 RBI that they're looking for. And by the way, they got all that. They got Ohtani. They got Trout. They're not winning anything. That's a team that's not going anywhere. They got all this star power. So, but I'm with you. That's the worst concern when these guys go out and play in the World Baseball Classic is something happens, now I got to deal with it.
In the division, for what it's worth, Jose Quintana has got a rib injury, so he will not be pitching for Colombia. It's a Mets player, by the way, for those who don't know, starting pitcher for the Mets. It was banged up.
All right, 404-741-0929. It's our Solomon Brothers Diamond text line, getting you caught up on the latest with the Braves. I do hope that Matt Olson is more productive, but it's not like he was a chump last year.
No.
You know, he had a really good year.
He was kind of like on his career average. The average was down just a little bit, but I think there was a lot of pressure on him coming in and filling in for Freddie. There was a lot of stuff he tried to downplay and didn't really address for the most part. But yeah, there were some things. Now he did. What was it? Was it end of August into September? He had a brutal stretch, and he sort of came out of it in time for the playoffs. But of course, by that time, this team was kind of cooked.
If he can give you, without the shift, if you're saying that's another 25 hits. He's going to have a really good season. I mean, a special kind of season. And to be quite honest, I think Riley, Acuna, depending on what money does, we could have 3 or 4 guys that could be in the MVP mix, Mike, when you start talking about this team from an offensive standpoint. Yeah. I think, and I know everybody's on the Mets, and you can be. Good luck with that. We had the best offense in the National League. And I know people are looking at the Mets and they're going, oh, they added all this pitching. Our lineup is still killer. It really is when you look at it.
The thing about also, make sure I get the numbers right. He batted 169 for September. Okay. So he went into that late swoon. And then for what it's worth, the small sample size in October, he batted 300, including the home run against Miami down the stretch. And then he went, they had one of the few guys who had some RBIs. Let's be honest, the Philly series, they just completely conked out. Fried looking like he did. Strider's issue, that just took all the wind out of your sails. But Matt Olson did struggle down the stretch and kind of regrouped in October.
Yeah, it felt like we just couldn't do anything in that series.
Right.
I don't know what the reasoning was.
Max Fried getting beat was a gut punch.
It was. That was a big one. You're right.